Hey everyone, Gabrielle Celeste. Welcome to another episode for my YouTube channel. I am the co-host of the Spiritual Sisters podcast. I own AGUA Astrology, where I offer readings, courses, one-to-one coaching, all the things. I have a mini Etsy shop. I'll be sure to provide those links below if you so feel called to work with me or reach out. But I wanted to go ahead and record an episode on how shadow work makes you more psychic. And it's interesting because I did go ahead and record an episode for the podcast entirely on this. So be sure if you want a more in-depth lesson, if you will, on that, to go check that episode out. Came out about a month ago. But I wanted to summarize those topics and put that into an episode for YouTube because I think sometimes that is a misconception where people spiritual bypass. So maybe we'll title this like spiritual bypassing because it's, something that I see quite often in this space. But I really feel like acknowledging your own darkness, not necessarily sitting with it, but processing it, which is the whole concept and basis for shadow work, is truly how you become more whole, a more whole version of self. And you become more conscious in the process. So you're probably like, what does that mean? So I just want to preface this and say that I'm not a medical professional. I am not a licensed therapist, or I really just wanted to say that and express that if you are going through it, seek out the help that you need and be an advocate for yourself, because so much of like not being in a good space mentally, I believe everything is spiritual, but it starts off with maybe not being in the best headspace, not feeling your best emotionally, energetically, physically, and that is a big basis for like psychosis and people not really processing what they are meant to feel as a human being. And you're probably like, okay, like where do you start? Well, there's another episode that I did, which is how to work with your Chiron. But it really is just sitting with maybe the ugliest parts of yourself, the parts of yourself that you don't necessarily like, those areas of life where you can work on. So, one way or one example, this is by no means all encompassing, but this speaks to, say, like the root chakra. This idea of like lack. If you have lack, if you're going to purchase something at the store and you're kind of feeling some type of way about spending the money on whatever you're spending it on versus like how you're feeling, like if you feel like you're in lack when you're purchasing that item versus if you are like, oh no, like I'm not even thinking twice about it. Acknowledging like why you're in lack, why you feel lack. Is it because you don't have more coming in? And where did that belief originate or stem from? Can you relate it back to maybe a belief that you had picked up when you were younger, a younger child? Can you relate it back to maybe your parents' relationship with money? And the more that you start to pattern weave, pattern recognition, put things together, link things up, you start to see that these are areas where there's more dark than light and part of yourself where that like resides and so forth. And they're areas of improvement at the end of the day because they hold you back from reaching your full potential. And it's kind of those thoughts. So on a personal note, I just shared this on my personal Instagram. Did a couple episodes on it because I don't want to say that I'm on the other side of it, but this was definitely a year in which I was meant to do the shadow work. And it was quite disappointing in terms of maybe expectations that I had for myself, my business, my personal life. But what I wanted to say is, sitting with that and having those types of breakthroughs, it was literally like having those breakthroughs every single day for 9 months straight. And those are truly like elements of your your subconscious mind, and becoming more in touch with your psyche. And in that process, you're excavating the dark parts of yourself and sitting with it and making room for more light, for more alignment, for more abundance, for more fulfilling life to lead. And in that process, you actually are becoming more conscious. So you're getting more in touch with your soul. And that is actually what in turn makes you more psychic, if you will. So doing the shadow work is what makes you more psychic. And there are even decks that I wouldn't have understood. For example, I wouldn't have understood my Isis deck, and I wouldn't have understood the Gene Keys, and I don't think I would have been able to really hold space without taking it on in the way that I do for my clients and the people that I will continue to work with. And like I can hold that energy without taking it on because I've sat with so much of my own and I acknowledge like what isn't mine. And you can't avoid doing the inner work if you are an intuitive. Um, in my personal opinion, I think that intuitives are held to a higher standard for their own healing, especially if they are carrying the light and if they've made an agreement to carry the light. And at the end of the day, it's a gift, and it's a gift to become conscious. So I just wanted to share that message because, and that's not to say or undermine like meditating and literally doing nothing and just being is another way in which you can expand your consciousness and your intuitive skill set and become more balanced between your feminine and your masculine energies. More the feminine, I would say, comes from, I mean, you need both, but I definitely feel like intuition is divinely feminine, as is your creativity. Those are all interlinked, those three areas of yourself. But what I wanted to say is they all go hand in hand. Yes, you can do the meditation and take the action, but one way, which might be one of the more important ways to do it, is also sitting with your own darkness and acknowledging that and transmuting that energy. So yeah, shadow work is how you become more psychic, one of the main ways. And I feel like having gone through a really tough year with it, it's important to highlight that a bit. And that is, ironically enough, what my business has transitioned to. I've done a lot of readings. I've done over 600 at this point. And I am now, I'm transitioning into a one-to-one container for intuitive coaching, which is really interesting too, because I'm helping people. And I don't want to say like hand holding because I feel like that's demeaning, but I'm really supporting them through the process. So of getting in touch with the divinity within themselves. So yeah, if you feel called to work with me, I will put that form below in case you'd like to apply. And I'll be taking on new clients in the next 6 weeks. And I hope that this video finds the people that it's meant to find. So yeah, see you in the next one.